Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is prophets over. This is non-Messianic conversations. This is our men's advanced Bible study night, the 15th of November, 2024. And the topic inside the room is the secrets of the serpent. We're gonna go back and look at this story, and we're gonna break that down. We're gonna watch the video. We'll read the story, then we'll play the video, and then we'll break it down, connect some dots. Okay. You can go to our YouTube channel, the Non-Messianic Conversations. We have over 30 or 40 videos so far that you can check out, examine. These videos will lead you into the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. Okay? And for those that want to subscribe, that want to support the channel, that would be greatly appreciated also. The channel move along. Okay? Our hours of operation are Friday nights. Every Friday night, 7 to 9, we on to have a conversation, a dialogue about us being Hebrew Israelites of the Bible, Old Testament, and like I said, coming together, connecting dots. So it's every Friday at 7 to 9 Central Time on Non-Messianic Conversation. Okay? For those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. And by that, I mean we deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance. And the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament, which are our laws, which is wisdom, and was given to Moses by our Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts. Okay. Shalom and welcome to this channel, and welcome to our men's advanced Bible study. We're gonna do our normal, which is a moment of silence. Okay. A moment of silence, and we're gonna do our Sabbath prayer, Psalms. We have some current events, some need to know information, and then we'll go into our Q&A. And then we have some little dialogue, and then we go into our topic, which is the secrets of the serpent, right? What actually happened in the garden. We're gonna read it, then I have a video we'll play, and we'll deal with that, and then we'll close out from there. Okay, this moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts, and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto Thee. Therefore we come before Thee at this hour, seeking Thy face and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before Thee as Thy servants David, Solomon, and Samuel, and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before Thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad. For we desire to walk after Thee, O Lord, and to keep Your commandments, Your testimony, Your statutes with all our heart and soul, and to perform the words of this covenant that was written down by Your prophets. O Lord, allow Thy face to shine upon Thy people, and hear our plea, and hear our cry. O Lord, hear and do. Hide not Thy face from us any longer, for we need You so very much at this hour. Peace be unto You. Okay. With that being said, I'll read the Psalms. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna read that. I read this the other night. I'm gonna read it again. It's the Psalms 151 in the Apocrypha. Okay, check that out. See if I can find it right quick. Okay. A minute. Okay. 3. 1 minute. Okay, here we go. It says this Psalm's 151, Psalm of David. It says this psalm is ascribed to David as his own composition. Through it is outside the numbers after he had fought the single combat with Goliath. I was small among my brethren and the youngest of my father's house. I tended my father's sheep. My hands made a harp, and my fingers fashioned a lyre. And who would tell my Lord, the Lord himself? It is he who hears. It was he who sent his messenger and took me from my father's sheep and anointed me with his anointing oil. My brothers were handsome and tall, but the Lord was not pleased with them. I went out to meet the Philistine, and he cursed me with his idol. But I drew his own sword. I beheaded him and took away disgrace from the people of Israel. So, like I said before, this is in the King James. You only have 150 Psalms, and then you got Psalm 151. It's over in the Apocrypha, and it's David praising the Lord for what he done with him, as far as getting Samuel to anoint him and him being with him when he killed Goliath. So, two things I want to point out. It says that it says in verse 7, it was he who sent his messenger, which is Samuel, took me from my father's sheep and anointed me with his anointing oil. Okay, Messiah. Then it says in verse 3, who will tell my Lord, the Lord himself? It is he who hears. Okay. Any comments on that? Anybody familiar with Psalms 151?
Shalom. Yes, sir. I got it in the annotated apocrypha. I might be saying it wrong, but that's the only
Annotated.
time. And okay, yes, sir.
Annotated. Yeah, I
Annotated.
got this. Right. Yeah, that's a good book to have. Yeah. So with that being said, go to our current events. Okay.
The concern right now is for the American people, and for multiple reasons. Number one, we have a very deadly gang called Tren de Aragua. It says Tren de Aragua gang started in Venezuela's prisons and now spreads fear in the U.S. Not only is it spreading fear in the United States, but this is actually causing other gangs to come into the United States. There are other prison gangs and South American gangs that are trying to come into the United States to establish themselves here. This is what federal officials are telling us. And this is extremely concerning, especially when just 24, 48 hours ago, we learned this, that the FBI arrested a Houston man for alleged ISIS ties and a terror plot in Houston. Yeah, he said he wanted to pull off a 9/11 style attack. Yeah, that's concerning. But where do we go from here? Well, here's the concern. This Venezuelan prison gang, they are making their way into the U.S. They're making their way into places like Denver, Colorado, which one Republican says Denver is going to become its HQ. What I can tell you is that Denver, Colorado, Chicago, Illinois, New York, right? And many other states are seeing gang members come in, start small with petty theft, We saw this in New York and Chicago, and it all happened the same way. They came in, and it was, okay, you're walking down the street, they grab your purse, they grab a shopping bag, they run the other way. Okay, they start small, then they go up, and now they're snatching cell phones. Then they're going to, burglary inside of people's homes. Then it's, drugs and selling and spreading. And then, okay, and this is the big one, human trafficking. I want to show you this as well. It says a former Chicago gangster blames Vice President Harris and Democrats for the turf war between local gangs in Venezuela's Tren de Aragua. Now, they say that the city is going to be up in flames very soon. But here's what we know. It's not just the local gangs in Chicago. What we are hearing from federal officials is that there are multiple gangs all throughout the United States, whether it's over in California, whether it's in Florida, it's in New York or Chicago, or somewhere in between, doesn't matter. But all these different gangs, they now have a turf war on their hands because they know, they've seen what has happened in New York, what has happened in Denver, what has happened over in Chicago. They've seen exactly what's happened. And this new Venezuelan gang, this prison gang that's coming in, isn't stopping. They want to establish themselves and do it quickly. Well, this is turning deadly. Now, look at this right here. It says, dangerous Venezuelan gang is in every major city in Tennessee. It says Tren de Aragua is a gang started in Venezuelan prisons and was first spotted in Tennessee back in 2023. Here's what happened, though. They were first spotted in Tennessee, then they left. Okay? They simply left the state. They were gone, nowhere to be found. Guess what? They're back. I want to play this clip for you because this is just the beginning. Okay? I'm giving you this warning not because I feel that this is a threat. The reason I'm giving you this warning is it's because federal officials, okay, the FBI, law enforcement, local law enforcement is saying that this gang, this deadly gang, is going to spread throughout all major cities in the U.S.
Listen, if you're making good money, but God's calling you
to come in so far.
Somebody sent them.
Right. Right. So you hear what Trump is getting ready to do. He's getting ready to come with the Navy SEALs and special forces and all that. And nobody have no clue that they're thinking that he's just talking. But he's gonna come with it. Believe that.
Get more people to join, which is easy to do because all they have to do is go out, find homeless people, find homeless that are willing to do.
What nobody understands about that is this is what these people been waiting on was, and nobody really, it's not registering with a lot of people, but he said the first 100 days, that ain't sinking in with nobody. So right now, they doing A100 right now. Yeah, they said everything they doing right now 100. So when the first day come, they coming in now already at 100. Nobody have no idea what's getting ready to happen.
A little bit of work, put in a little bit of effort, and break the law. They'll pull them in. They'll give them a place to live, give them food, give them money, give them beer or whatever drug they want. In exchange, just do what we tell you to do. Now listen to this.
They are actively working in Tennessee. They are in our 4 major cities, Nashville, Memphis, Knoxville, and Chattanooga. And they are running human trafficking operations right now. We first noticed them about 2 years ago during a trafficking operation in Middle Tennessee. And we thought after we had captured a few of them, we knew some of them had fled. We thought that they would move out of Tennessee, but they have moved back. And we are aware now after some meetings this past month, we're aware that they are moving into different operations. They go from human trafficking to organized retail crime theft, and then they move into the drug trade, taking on the cartels in a very violent, bloody battles that they've had. And they also have zero respect for policing. They have attacked law enforcement officers throughout our nation.
So there you go. So they start in, very small. Okay, retail, crime, retail theft. Then they go to human trafficking and drug trade. But here's the concern. This was originally, it was mainly in New York City. These gang members would come in, they went to New York City. New York City was their hub. Then they bounced over to Chicago and a little bit in between. Then they found themselves, well, let's go to places like Denver. Let's go to San Diego. Okay, let's go to some major cities in California. Even they were trying to start in Miami and over in that area. According to experts, they say that once they start in these places, once they build, and again, just this right here in Tennessee, this is troubling. They're in Memphis, Nashville, Knoxville, even Chattanooga. Okay, 4 major cities in Tennessee. What they're doing is they're building. They go to places where there's a lot of immigrants that come in that are starting from the bottom. And they promise them the world. They promise them a home. They promise them a job, a career, a family. That's what they're promising them. And again, as we get more people that come into the United States that don't have a place to go,
Oh yeah, did anybody familiar with the guy? I think he's he might be a congressman, but no, I think he's a senator. The young buck, the redneck, Gats, whatever it is, Gaets. Anybody know who that is?
No, sir.
No, I never heard of him.
Yeah, you done seen him. He probably just wasn't paying attention to the name, but he was a redneck, man. He was going off on he had a big old, sort of like Margie Green. You know the Margie Green, right? The big mouth blonde chick, look like she got Down syndrome.
Yeah.
Well, this dude here, he a guy, but he's like probably in his 30s. He's a senator. And but anyway, Trump made him the district attorney. I mean, of America. They call AG. He the AG, man. People going nuts. So like I said, they coming in 100. And nobody, it's not registered with nobody. But anyway, so with that being said, I keep on talking about the fact that people keep on trying to say that Genesis chapter 15 is talking about America, right? And how we're gonna come out here we coming out here with great substance, but it's not associated with Genesis 15, right? So they keep on saying that I got another video I'm gonna play in a minute, but they saying that the crisis was over in 2019. I'll show you the video I'm play. It's not that ain't the case, but who they think is going to provide for us, and we're going to leave with great substance is, like I said over and over again, it's not America. We already see what these nutbuggers doing, right? They're doing exactly what the Pharaoh did. So check it out. Both of these events just happened. And they've been happening, but they happen especially now when you start looking at the west coast of Africa, Negro land and all that. But a real Israelite said. Here you go.
Africa and Russia. President Vladimir Putin is making another play for the continent. He just held a summit in the resort town of Sochi. Russia invited ministers and business leaders from several African nations. They held talks with their Russian counterparts and worked on new deals. Moscow is calling the summit a major win. They say it has dashed Western plans to isolate Russia, and Putin is not done yet. He plans to deepen the relationship with Africa. He has promised to provide total support to Russia's friends in the continent.
Remember a long time ago, we was dealing with a video where Putin showed that Hitler knew that the people that was he had over the Americans had over here was Israelites. He said they was the apple of the Most High eye, the Yahweh's jewelry. Putin said that, so he know who they are, right?
Here's our report.
Russia is courting Africa. A summit took place over the weekend, the Russia-Africa Partnership Forum. It was held in the Russian city of Sochi. It's a resort town on the Black Sea. That is where Russia laid out the red carpet for ministers and business delegations from Africa. Russia's foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, was in charge of the summit, and yesterday he conveyed President Vladimir Putin's words to his audience.
I would like to reiterate that our country will continue to provide total support to our African friends in different sectors, ensuring sustainable development, the struggle against terrorism and extremism, combating epidemics, food problems, and the consequences of natural disasters.
Putin has promised that he will continue to provide total support to Russia's friends in Africa. And Russia does have a lot of friends there. Let's look at the Sahel states first. Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. These three nations saw military coups recently. They are now ruled by military juntas. The juntas have shunned their traditional partnership with their former colonial overlord, France. Instead, they have all turned to Russia for support.
And today, Africans and Burkinabes are rediscovering Russia as a world power, as a partner we can work with.
From now on, we're not going to take our instructions from Paris, Washington, or anywhere else. We want respectful partnerships, sincere partnerships, win-win partnerships.
Respect and a win-win partnership. That is what the Sahel states want, and that is why they have turned to Russia. Moscow has soldiers in these countries, mercenaries who are helping them fight against religious extremists. France, the US, and other Western nations had partnered with the Sahel states before the coups. But the juntas believed that the West wasn't doing enough, which is why they turned to Russia. And there's an additional advantage. Moscow isn't the type to lecture any government, whereas the West is known for its sermons. So it's clear who the Sahel juntas prefer. And it isn't just them.
Yeah, Russia, it's a good country for us. Besides that, President Putin, he understands the Africans. He is pro-us, pro-Africans. So this is why I personally align with the Russians.
Lesotho, Nigeria, Ethiopia, multiple Central African states. All of them sent their delegations to Sochi. They are all keen to work with Russia. This is a diplomatic win for Vladimir Putin ever since the war in Ukraine began. The West has been trying to isolate Russia, but it clearly hasn't succeeded. This weekend's event was the second high-profile summit hosted by Russia in a month. Putin held the BRICS summit in late October in the city of Kazan. And now we have this Russia-Africa Partnership Forum in Sochi. Both events catered to the global south. They were a way for Russia to try and reshape the current world order and pitch for a multipolar world instead of one dominated by the West. And by the looks of it, Moscow is well on its way to doing that.
Okay, any comments on that? So it looks like to me it's Putin, Russia, is the one that's going to just he's acting like Cyrus. You know, they're saying that it's Trump supposed to be Cyrus, but it seems like to me Putin is the one acting like Cyrus did.
Yes, sir. It goes along with what you've been teaching about the Ezekiel 37.
Exactly. Right. So that was he just made a statement, which actually is where I always go in Ezra when Cyrus came out. It's mandatory that they make a proclamation because that proclamation is fulfilling scripture. So he say it right here, Vladimir Putin says that he got total support of the Sahel region. So that's Negro land. They are fumbling with it. Getting all these other names with it. If you awaken and you zero in, you know what that is. He just said that you give total support, 100% backing to the Sahel. Ain't that something? Check out what BRICS just done too, right here.
The colonization of Africa by European countries has had a profound and lasting impact on the continent. The levels of crime, financial exploitation, developmental setbacks, and immense human costs have left deep scars, many of which are still felt today. However, Africa's relationships with countries outside Western Europe have taken on a different shape, often built on a foundation of more mutual respect and shared benefits. Russia's relationship with Africa, for example, has been marked by a fairer approach focused on mutual respect and dignity. Unlike the exploitative nature of colonial relationships, Russia's trade and diplomatic ties with African countries have aimed at fostering partnerships. Recently, Russia announced the cancellation of $20 billion worth of African debt, a move expected to bring significant benefits to African economies. By alleviating the debt burden, African nations can redirect resources towards socioeconomic projects that will fuel sustainable development.
Sound like year release to me.
China is another major player that has expanded its presence in Africa. China's investment in infrastructure, technology, and trade partnerships has made it a substantial contributor to the continent's growth. With projects ranging from railways to digital infrastructure, China's involvement is not only reshaping African cities and economies, but also helping foster a sense of economic self-sufficiency across the continent. This video will explore the evolution of Africa's relationships with Russia and China, highlighting how these partnerships have transformed over the years and the impact they're likely to have on accelerating the continent's growth. Additionally, we'll discuss the recent expansion of BRICS, a coalition that now includes South Africa, Ethiopia, and Egypt, which gives Africa a larger voice in the bloc. Let's start with the history of the Russia-Africa relationship throughout the years. The relationship between Russia and African nations has evolved significantly from the early 20th century to the present day, encompassing periods of limited interaction, strategic alliances during the Cold War, a hiatus following the Soviet Union's collapse, and a resurgence of engagement in recent years. In the early 1900s, Russia's involvement in Africa was minimal, primarily characterized by exploratory missions and limited diplomatic engagements.
So I'm a big game on something right quick. So if you go back, like I recommend people to watch that movie, One Night with the King. It's about the story of Esther and how she married Artaxerxes, right? But if you go do your research on Artaxerxes, he was a researcher, learned man. He did a lot of research, so he knew the history of the world and everything, that who was who and all that. And that's why the situation with Esther and with the Israelites went down like it did. That was Most High was behind that. Artaxerxes was a learned man. So when you go and look at what Putin just did with the Black Jesus and what he's told us a while back about who the Jews really are and how that America had the Jews, he's the same type of dude. He's a learned man. That's his passion. That's how the Most High works. Just like So you see, that's why he on the scene like he is. He ain't coming there on no accident. He doing his research. Just like we researching, he researching. Most High, they put that spirit on him. Okay?
Yeah, the same way the EU and all the governments got together to form America, it's the same way the BRICS is getting ready to do the same thing over to Africa.
Exactly. And that's what, but like I said before, we got everybody off because they're looking in the wrong direction when prophecy steady fulfilling itself right in front of their face. They looking off in the wrong place. Like for example, I don't want to sidebar the conversation, but I was listening to a brother today, and he said that, like I say, America is our homeland. And then he said that when you go back and understand that they brought a whole bunch of Israelites over here from Negro land and brought them to Brazil first and populated Brazil. Well, this brother said that it was in Angola, which you understand what's going. Like I say, you understand what's happening. The Angola, that whole region, all that with Niger, the Nigerians are Ephraim. So he's saying that Angola and Niger got populated from the people they brought from Brazil. Let that friend me. And I'm like, come on, brother, what is how in the hell? So you say, well, how in hell is that the case when he said that he was the Most High dwells in Zion? That's the foundation. He dwells in Zion. And the Israelites turned from him. They rebelled against him. Daniel told them, he tired of dealing with you. 13 captivities. I done cast you off 13 different times. You still ain't got it. The Most High, the Lord of hosts, indignation came to a full. He don't want you nowhere around him. He ain't leaving his land, but he getting you out of here. He casting you off. So how in the hell can he be in America and he send them to Africa and then he send them back here? Let that ferment.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy. Now all of a sudden, they coming from America to Africa. The reason why so many Israelites in Africa, they came from here on slave ships. So they came from here on slave ships, went there, and then they came back here. That's the same thing with the JC. He's supposed to come with the rapture. He gonna come, and they say he got a second. He coming back a second time, but the first time he come back, he only supposed to come one time. But he gonna come in the sky, rapture everybody, leave, then he gonna come back again. Come on, man. That ain't what the scriptures ain't saying that. Nowhere in the scriptures is it saying it. Nowhere it said I'm gonna cast you out of my land and you're gonna go amongst the Gentiles and you're gonna pick their ways up. What the hell you got two trips? I mean, you know, they on ships twice. It's just like with the tribulation. How can the tribulation from the time Israel left in 143 BC, the transatlantic slave trade, the Arab slave trade? So what's going to be any worse than that? How is you expecting another tribulation when what's more worse than that? Look how many Israelites is bones laying on the bottom of the transatlantic, the ocean or the Atlantic from the transatlantic slave trade. But Negroes still waiting on another tribulation. Come on.
Notably, in 1897, the Russian Empire established a consulate in Tangier, Morocco, marking one of its initial formal diplomatic presences on the continent.
Baba. With Fiber Small Business Insurance, experts do all the homework for you.
And 60s presented the Soviet Union with opportunities to expand its influence in Africa. Moscow supported various liberation movements and newly independent states, providing military aid, economic assistance, and ideological backing. For instance, during the Algerian War of Independence from 1954 to 1962, the Soviet Union supplied military, technical, and material support to the National Liberation Front. In Ethiopia, the Soviet Union established diplomatic relations in 1943 and later became a key ally following the 1974 revolution that ousted Emperor Haile Selassie. The USSR provided substantial military and economic aid, particularly during the Ogaden War from 1977 to 1978, where Soviet support was crucial in repelling Somali forces. Similarly, in South Africa, the Soviet Union maintained relations with the African National Congress during the apartheid era, offering support to the anti-apartheid movement. The dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991 led to a significant reduction in Russia's engagement with Africa. Economic challenges and a focus on internal restructuring resulted in the closure of several embassies and a decline in trade and military cooperation. For example, Russia's trade with African countries dropped from $5.9 billion in 1985 to $0.98 billion in 1995. In the 2000s, Russia began to reestablish its presence in Africa, seeking to revive old alliances and forge new partnerships. This renewed interest was marked by increased diplomatic visits, military cooperation agreements, and economic engagements. By 2024, Russia had concluded military cooperation agreements with 43 African countries and emerged as a major arms supplier to the continent. A notable development was the deployment of Russian military instructors to Equatorial Guinea in November 2024, aiming to protect the presidency and train elite guards, reflecting Moscow's growing influence in West Africa.
Okay, so
China's Belt and Road Initiative.
That ain't nothing new. Him protecting Ibrahim Tory, he been protecting other leaders for that. Come on.
Initiative, BRI, launched in 2013, further solidified its commitment to African development through investments in infrastructure, energy, and telecommunications. By 2021, China had become Africa's largest trading partner, with trade volumes reaching $254 billion. Recent developments, diversification, and challenges. In recent years, China's engagement in Africa has diversified beyond trade and infrastructure to include healthcare, education, and technology sectors. However, challenges have emerged, including concerns over debt sustainability and the environmental impact of certain projects. In 2024, discussions at the FOCAC summit addressed these issues, emphasizing sustainable development and mutual benefit. Overall, the China-Africa relationship has transformed from limited early interactions to a multifaceted partnership, significantly influencing Africa's development trajectory and China's global economic strategy.
Now, so like I said before, they got America is supposed to be this end time beast, but look what it's doing. Like I said, look what they just came together. They just came together and elected Trump, and all that represent. And they don't. That's not tying in with scripture with me. To me, Trump is the one that signed the bill for the so-called 400 years. You know, the 400 years in 2019. And the whole time, this is what Russia was doing. Fulfilling scripture. Like I said, look what they're doing. And look what Russia doing. Who it is that's know what the real Israelites said and dealing with the real Israelites compared to what they're saying about Trump. It ain't adding up. Okay, so
yeah, because Putin did forgive Africa's debt too.
Exactly, $200 billion. Right. Yeah, like I said, and like we've been fascinated at the fact that how him even China too, how they, especially Putin, how he's surrounded those Ibrahim Tory and those other three guys too, to Sahel. But that's because we just woke up. But he's been doing it. He's surrounding the other guy. They ended up killing him and a couple other guys they were trying to protect. Now they got it down pat. That's why they came in so fast, because of the mistakes they made in the past. Okay, and what they know what these people are gonna do. So what's the repercussions? Why they so busy trying to kill Tory? Because of we see the guy, the president in Uganda, he's making visits over to Burkina Faso. He's linking up. He's a military man too. He's linking up with those three countries, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, right? And now we got another brother. This is what my need to know information is. Play that. It's another brother coming on the scene. This is why they're trying to kill him. I don't know if anybody heard about this. Here we go.
The most developed nations in Africa. The world is witnessing a seismic shift as Botswana's newly elected president, Duma Boko, takes an unprecedented stand against both capitalism and socialism, aligning with AES leaders to redefine governance through a distinctly African lens. Boko's rejection of Western capitalism and socialism reflects a bold revolutionary vision for African nations to govern themselves according to their values, free from ideologies that have historically served foreign interests. With his call for an African democracy, Boko champions a model focused on community well-being, sovereignty, and adaptability, which could redefine governance across the continent. But what changes can he bring? Let's find out. How did capitalism fail Africa, and why does Boko believe it is incompatible with Africa's future? Duma Boko's critique of capitalism centers on its legacy of exploitation in Africa, particularly in resource-rich nations like Botswana. He is the new hope for Africa.
Approaches and accepts with humility, with some trepidation, feeling, I dare not fail. I dare not disappoint.
Capitalism's promise of economic growth, he argues, has consistently prioritized foreign profits over the welfare of African communities. Under capitalism, Botswana's valuable mineral resources have largely enriched Western corporations, offering minimal returns to local communities. For Boko, capitalism's influence in Africa represents a modern extension of colonialism, where wealth extraction benefits external stakeholders.
So this is the president of Botswana. Now he's linking up with Tory.
Leaving African nations with few gains. Botswana's diamonds and other natural resources have fueled the economy on paper, but have not translated into widespread prosperity. Boko points out that while foreign investors reap the rewards, local communities see little reinvestment. Roads, healthcare, education, and infrastructure in resource-rich areas often remain underfunded, with the profits flowing out.
Forces of the Gentiles shall be turned unto thee, right?
Of the country.
They told me last time that they have medical aid, government pays 80%, and they pay 20%. Why does government pay 80%? What is the rationale there? Is it because they work? Or is it because they are special, they're the only ones who require health care?
According to Boko, this economic imbalance perpetuates inequality and stifles national growth, undermining the very purpose of resource ownership. Capitalism, he asserts, has turned Africa into a continent of consumers rather than owners, dependent on external economies for jobs, goods, and capital. In addition to wealth extraction, Boko critiques capitalism for its tendency to deepen social divisions. By favoring those already wealthy, capitalism creates a cycle where wealth and power remain concentrated, leaving everyday citizens struggling to make ends meet. For Botswana, this means that much of the economic gains are enjoyed by a few elites or foreign investors, while the majority of citizens experience only a fraction of these benefits. Boko argues that this system, by design, does not serve the needs of the average African. He questions how a system that thrives on inequality and exploitation can be a blueprint for African prosperity. Beyond economic imbalances, Boko views capitalism as a model that discourages long-term stability and communal well-being. The system incentivizes short-term gains over sustainable development, a factor that Boko sees as particularly harmful to Africa's future. Multinational corporations, driven by profit, prioritize immediate returns, often at the expense of environmental stewardship and social responsibility. In Botswana, this is translated into resource depletion, environmental degradation, and communities left to bear the cost of unsustainable practices. For Boko, capitalism's legacy in Africa is one of environmental and social damage rather than...
So what we're looking at, I keep saying this over and over again, one man, one Negro, one Hebrew, the greatest civilization ever was Egypt. The Most High draw one man to him at Mount Horeb, Moses. When he went back, he sent Moses back to Egypt, and Moses shut down the greatest civilization ever. Right? So now it's 50-some countries over there. Each one of them got a Negro over them, over in Africa. Most High let 75 under. He used one man to shut down Egypt. Look what we're looking at now.
Than progress. But if capitalism is unsuitable, could socialism provide a fairer and more viable alternative for Botswana and other African nations? Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. Socialism, in theory, promises equality, fairness, and communal ownership, values that resonate deeply within many African communities. However, Boko's critique of socialism stems from its rigid top-down structure, which he argues is ill-suited for Africa's unique needs and cultural landscape. He points out that African societies have long relied on adaptive, community-based governance, emphasizing collaboration and shared decision-making at the local level. By contrast, socialism's heavy reliance on centralized control can suppress individual initiative and stifle the dynamic, locally driven problem-solving that is essential to many African communities. One of Boko's main concerns with socialism is its tendency to enforce state control over industries and resources, often creating a bloated bureaucratic system. He argues that socialism's one-size-fits-all approach does not align with Africa's diversity and would ultimately lead to inefficiencies and stagnation. In Botswana and other African nations, where people are accustomed to decentralized governance models that empower local leaders, socialism's everything from education.
Nitric oxide is nothing.
Curricula to governance frameworks. Boko and his AES peers believe that a strong, sovereign Africa must be deeply connected to its roots, embracing its languages, traditions, and communal practices. This approach reflects Boko's view that governance should be grounded in the values and lived experiences of African people, not in foreign ideologies that feel disconnected from their day-to-day realities. By fostering a renewed sense of cultural pride and self-respect, AES leaders hope to inspire Africans to envision a future that is wholly theirs. The Alliance's stance is not without controversy, especially from international stakeholders who view the AES movement as a threat to global stability and existing economic relationships. Western investors and corporations, accustomed to favorable access to Africa's resources and markets, see AES policies as a challenge to their interests. However, Boko and the AES alliance argue that Africa's long-term prosperity depends on breaking free from exploitative practices. According to them, Western entities that truly value African partnerships should be willing to engage on equal terms rather than seeking control over the continent's resources. AES's collective vision presents a formidable model of what African governance can look like when freed from Western influence. A vision that is both daring and deeply resonant among young Africans who are increasingly disillusioned with the status quo. By standing together, AES leaders like Boko hope to foster a pan-African movement that champions African interests on the global stage, reinforcing Africa's place.
Okay, so what's the difference? What's the difference in what we're looking at right here then what we read about, we've been reading about forever and a day in scriptures in Genesis when the Israelites was in bondage in Egypt. So they cried out. And then our Redeemer showed up. So same thing right here. You're looking at it. We've been crying out. Now our Redeemer showing up. Ain't nothing new under the sun. So, like I said, our forefathers was in captivity in Egypt, not over here in America. That's our homeland is over there, not over here. So he says rise and shine, for thy God is risen above thee, and then he's gonna bring thy sons and thy daughters from afar back to the land where they came from. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is, anybody have any questions, comments on that? Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I'm gonna open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions or comments about anything that they came across they want to inject into the conversation? They want to talk about? We're gonna chop it up for a minute before we go into the lesson.
Yeah, I seen a video where they was kind of like mocking. I don't know if you seen it, but they was kind of like supposed to be the cartel over there was mocking. I think they put up some people hanging from the wall or something. Have you seen that video?
Right. Yeah.
It was like mocking Trump.
Yeah. I seen that video, but I want to inject something in there. You said they was hanging from the wall, right?
Yes, sir.
What they remind you of?
Slavery, what they did to the brothers.
Recently. What they remind you of? Gilead.
I was just gonna say that the Handmaid's Tale.
The
Yep.
Handmaid. Ain't that something? Yeah, they hit me like a brick, man. As soon as I saw it, I said, okay, yeah, the Handmaid. And then another thing too, you can let it ferment, just let it hold, keep it in your head. But remember, it's an area in between in the movie. It's an area between the Gilead and Canada, Gilead and America is an area. It's a dead zone in between there.
Right, yes, sir. You gotta make it through that dead zone.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah.
They got them isolated in. Yeah. Yep.
Ain't that something? Right. Yeah. I was like, wow, it hit me like a brick, man. As soon as I seen them hanging on the wall, I said, okay. And so that's all they saying. That's all this Trump administration and all these nut buckets that they got with him. That's all it's all about. It's the same concept that the people that set up Gilead. That's
and
them.
the thing about it, and all the women are in line with the 4B movements and all of that. That's what they screaming. Oh, it's gonna be like the Handmaiden. It's gonna be like the Handmaiden.
Right,
yep.
Right. Yeah. But see, they saying that, but they only talking to a few people that's zeroed in, tuned into it. See what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
The average, especially Negroes, they don't know shit about the Handmaiden because they're not zeroed in on it. Okay. Yeah, let me play this, man. Let me see what that was. Yeah, here go. I'm gonna play this right here. This is the people that Trump getting in his cabinet. Remember, it was a council in Gilead.
So my wife got me this weird new kitchen knife as a.
And what they had did in the movie Handmaiden, Gilead was the people that had seceded from the United States. White folks.
Yeah, Yep, they had their dinners and everything together
Exactly.
to see who was gonna they would come in and get their laws that was going on inside there.
Right. And then another thing about that, what a lot of people ain't peeping out. You got they always talking about the Ku Klux Klan, right? And how they rose to power, but they had a female Ku Klux Klan too.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Sure was.
And so look at them women that had the green on, that was in Gilead, that was in the Handmaid.
Yep. And look at the 57%.
Exactly. Like I say, they set the Democrats up, had all them thinking that those whites was gonna vote for her, but that was part of the plan. They set her up and thought they was gonna vote for her, but when on election day they voted for Trump.
57% of them, more than half.
That's them women in green on Gilead. Okay. On Handmaid. This part is cabinet right here. And so, like I said before, like I said, you think the serpent came in the garden? He came in to make he wanted a son. He came in the garden. He wanted a son from Eve. He wanted to violate Eve. So you thought he got in there, and she said he coerced me. He wholly seduced me. So he gonna wholly seduce her, and then he ain't gonna finish the job. He finished the job. So you think these folks ain't doing all what they're doing, what they didn't set up 2025 and all this now they got Trump in the office. You think they gonna all of a sudden stop? Go drink a martini and say, no, we ain't gonna do nothing? Hell no. They finna come on January 20th, 100. They're gonna be 100 on January 20th.
Candace Owens gonna be right there with him too. Because I heard he trying to do something with Candace Owens.
Right.
Now let's tell you about Donald Trump's team. The full list is still in the making, but some key positions appear to be locked in, like Secretary of State, National Security Advisor, and the Border Control Chief.
Yeah, so you get a chance. Watch this. It's Trump's pack, his cabinet. Trump packs his cabinet with anti-Chinese leaders, right? Anti-China leaders, right? You're gonna make sure we got a problem with China. So they're all rednecks. So go back to what I just told you about what they're getting ready to do with these immigrants. They're gonna be all rednecks. They're gonna be all white folks, man. Come on.
These are the top officials in any government. So who has been chosen for these posts and what does it say about Trump 2.0? Let's start with the Secretary of State, basically America's foreign minister. It will most likely be this man, Marco Rubio. He's a senator from Florida. He ran against Donald Trump in 2016, but now he's a close ally. And his politics? Well, Rubio is a foreign policy hawk. He advocates aggressive tactics against American rivals, especially China, Venezuela, and Iran. He has questioned Chinese technology, Chinese industrial policy, and China's attempts to dethrone the US dollar. So Marco Rubio is very anti-China. And he's also very pro-Israel. He has refused to blame Israel for the civilian deaths in Gaza. He says it's 100% Hamas's fault. So Rubio, as foreign minister, would be a message to China, Israel, and Iran. Then we come to Trump's second pick, Mike Waltz. He will be the national security advisor, most likely. Now, Waltz is a congressman from Florida. He's a retired Army colonel, and he too is a China hawk.
So let that information. So these claim, this clan, it's the clan,
and they're all from most of them all from Florida.
Right, and then they don't have the mask on no more. They ain't got the hood on.
What's more, he's a co-chair of the India Caucus. What is the India Caucus? It's a group that promotes relations between India and the US. It influences Washington's policy vis-a-vis India. The India caucus is bipartisan. It has both Democrats and Republicans as members. And now the man heading it, co-chairing it, will be America's national security advisor. So this would be a message to India. Mike Waltz also serves on the Foreign Affairs Committee. He says the US needs to do more in the Indo-Pacific. If not, China may have the advantage. Now, both these choices make one thing clear. Trump 2.0 will focus heavily on China and not the good kind of focus. Whether it's trade or technology or chips, expect Donald Trump as president to ramp up the pressure on Beijing. And there's one more thing to note. Unlike Trump, Rubio and Waltz are not isolationists. An isolationist is typically someone who opposes involvement in the wars and affairs of other countries. Donald Trump does that. He's an isolationist. But Waltz and Rubio are not. Waltz had asked Biden to redeploy soldiers to Afghanistan, and Rubio openly backs Ukraine. Now, both men have recently diluted their positions to match Trump, but their past record is quite different. It was interventionist, not isolationist.
But here go the trick. This is my point right here. What's the difference in this when George W. Bush came in office in 2000? That was clean. That was a clean. This ain't nothing new. Look what they did 2000 with the World Trade Center. This ain't nothing new. This is how they work. And that's what I mean by these Negroes sitting there. You on the ass end of a situation thinking that it's all about whether you make a decision about Trump or not. No, this shit it's way deeper than that. They're doing the same thing again. It didn't cause you, they didn't trick everybody off. You gave them the authority. You voted them in there. They did the same thing with Bush. Here we go again.
And that's crazy.
Go ahead.
That's crazy you say that, because it seemed like they was awfully hard on the brothers, trying to get the brothers to vote. They needed our vote for some reason, right?
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they think they need that Hebrew vote if they get all of we can. So when they do what they do, you can't say nothing. You allow them to do it. Because what the scriptures say, we always looking for a king.
Exactly. That's what I say. And Joe, there it is. We looking dead at it. It ain't nothing new under the sun. They voted him in. Go back to Caesar. Caesar was diabolical, but what happened? He was a people's person. They loved him. He was diabolical. Come on. That's who these people are.
Some relief for Europe and Ukraine there. And now the final foreign policy pick, the US ambassador to the United Nations. Trump has selected a congresswoman, Elise Stefanik.
Right.
She doesn't have a lot of experience, but she's a staunch.
Go look at this nut bucket. Go look at her.
Ally of Donald Trump. She shot to fame earlier this year when she grilled college principals for pro-Palestine protests.
Right.
So her politics matches with Trump. And that wraps up foreign policy. Now let's look at the domestic departments. Donald Trump has picked Lise.
So let's look at it right quick. I'm gonna let it roll after this. So if you don't know anything about the Godzilla movies, right? They know that they know Godzilla came. He was like a what they call a anomaly, and they come to find out really he was in place. He was tied to the universe, to the cosmos. He would come when Chinese people over that area over there would get into a bind. He'd show up. Well, these nut buckets went and looking for Godzilla. He was wherever he was at in the ocean, at the bottom of the ocean, he was laying down. They went looking for him. They went to messing with him and bring him back. Then when he come back, he tearing up every damn thing. But now you feeling a certain type of way. Where he was laying, he was where he supposed to be at, you went to messing with him. That's what these rednecks gonna do. They going somewhere messing with shit, ain't they? Because of their character and the people and who they are, they DNA, they going and messing with all the wrong shit. Like I say, he hiring all anti-Chinese people. They finna go over there messing with China already superseded America as far as GDP. They already run everything. They got the rolling building this year, but now you want to go over there trying to put tariffs on and wake the and violate the beast. Come on, man.
Zeldin to lead the Environment Protection Agency, or the EPA. Now, Zeldin is a former congressman from New York. It's a strange pick because he does not have the credentials for this job. He never talked about the
None of them got the
campaign trail, but he
they just rednecks.
Again because of loyalty. In 2020, he voted against certifying Joe Biden's election victory. I guess Trump is now rewarding him for that. He's likely to pick another loyalist for Homeland Security. Homeland Security is like America's home ministry. And the chosen one is Kristi Noem.
You ain't got no idea what's getting ready to happen.
She was on the short list for Trump's running mate. If confirmed, she'll have a big role to play.
Got a woman over Homeland Security.
Mass deportation program. He wants to round up illegal migrants and send them back to their home countries, and for that he needs Homeland Security. A few other names are also floating around, like Linda McMahon for Commerce Secretary. She's the former CEO of World Wrestling Entertainment, Commerce Secretary. And Bill Haggerty for Treasury Chief, a senator and former ambassador. There's still no clarity on the two big appointments, the two biggest appointments, in fact, Pentagon Chief and Attorney General. And why are they the most important? Because Trump has grand plans for them. In his first term, he faced resistance from the Pentagon. He had 5 different defense secretaries. Now, Pentagon is like America's defense ministry, and the defense secretary is the equivalent of a defense minister. Trump had 5 of them in 4 years. They abandoned him. Some generals even called him a fascist. So this time, Trump has a new plan: install a loyalist in the Pentagon, a yes man who will carry out his orders, whether it's firing so-called woke generals or...
Yeah, I want to peep out something else before I forget about it. You know, we talked about that on like 4 or 5 different occasions, how that little boy is in the Denver airport, the one that's standing on the square.
Yeah, the little redhead.
Yeah. Check out what's called Trump's son. You know, they said that about the book, that was the book they had in 18 something that prophesied all this is happening now. The guy prophesied that a boy named Barron and all that.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, and they said that Trump was going. He was in it too.
Trump's son named Barron.
Yep.
And then, but this is the thing. This is a trick to it though. The dude look like he about 7 foot, man. He way taller than everybody. All the other Trump sons, he way taller than all of them. And he looked like that dude that's standing on the square. Just check it out. You know, it's just me. You know what I'm saying? Check it out.
Ending diversity training or rolling back NATO commitments. Same with the Justice Department. It is headed by the US Attorney General. Last time, Trump fired his first Attorney General. The second one said Trump should be nowhere near the White House.
Exactly.
So what's the plan this time? Again,
there you go, right there
now. Okay. Trump's team says that this is going to be the most important pick.
Yeah, check this video right here. Trump packs his cabinet with anti-China leaders. And they got Barron on here.
The general can influence investigations, target political rivals, and let Trump off the hook in his own cases. You may have noticed some names missing from this list, like Vivek Ramaswamy, Elon Musk, Robert Kennedy Jr. Have they been snubbed? Well, not necessarily. Vivek Ramaswamy could still end up heading the education department. Musk is likely to be an advisor, not a secretary. And RFK Jr. will most likely end up at the health department. This is what the new team is looking like. But appointments are not the hard part. Stability is, continuity is. Trump needs to make sure that he doesn't burn through secretaries like he did the last time. Remember, some of these appointments have to be confirmed by the US Senate. So replacing these people is going to be time consuming. To avoid that, he's stacking the cabinet with loyalists. He certainly has a mandate to do that, but it does set the stage for tensions in Washington.
Okay, any comments on that?
Shalom. I got that book, Brother Leonard. And yeah, in that book, it says that Barron Trump is the last president because he the one that escalates this demolition, and he's being guided by a man named Don.
Right, Donald. Right, exactly. Say, and then like I was saying before, look at go back to Saul when he said that Saul was head and shoulders above everybody. This dude, look, he got to be about 6'8", 6'9", because he way taller than Trump. I'm like, what? It stick out like a sore thumb, man. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah, and then compared to back when how little he was when Trump was his first term, and now when the first time I saw it was when they came out from when he won this election, they all these people came out, and then here comes this dude. I said, that's like the young bug. He down there about 7 foot tall. It's crazy, man. Look just like the dude that they got standing on the square in on the picture in what's that the Bank of America. Yeah, inside the lobby in the Bank of America. And there's something.
Yes, sir. It says he's 6'9", at least on Google.
I knew that's what I said. I know that because I see how he taller than all everybody else. I'm like, what the hell is going on with this, man? It just stuck out when I seen it. How tall he is. Yeah, Trump ain't that tall. Yeah,
right.
It's crazy, man. And then my man, it's a lot of drama going on with him, Krishna. And then he got a little height on him. So damn, is that Krishna's son? Yeah, what's the deal? What's going on? Yeah, but I'm gonna keep my eye on that, man. Yeah. So I'm gonna like I was saying before, they said that they keep saying that the 400 years is up, right? You know, the curse was up in 2019. Let's check this out. Like I said, look what Trump doing. Seems like to me, Trump is the one going along that's fulfilling script. I mean, Putin is fulfilling scripture. He's the one that's showing favoritism toward the Israelites. It ain't Trump in America. These rednecks ain't gonna never do nothing for us. But check this out. So they say in 2019, prophecy was fulfilled.
Defeating a criminal who tries to attack you is surprising.
Okay. Look at this here.
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best way to make money on it.
After dark, sundown towns refer to communities in the United States that historically practiced racial segregation by systematically excluding non-white individuals, especially African Americans, from staying within the town after dark.
Hebrews.
These towns enforced both written and unwritten rules to prevent non-white people from residing or remaining inside town limits after sunset. Such towns were prevalent in the 1800s and early 1900s, and they weren't only limited to the South. They spread across the entire country. In these towns, it was common to see signs that warned, "Don't let the sun go down on you here." These signs would threaten non-white people to leave before nightfall. If they didn't, they faced threats of violence, arrest, and even the possibility of being lynched.
I feel very uncomfortable. Yeah. Very uncomfortable.
While you'd expect this type of racism to be a thing of the past, the reality is sundown towns still exist today.
2019.
In fact, there's been a disturbing pattern across the United States in recent years. Young Black men are being lured to isolated rural communities, only to vanish or be found dead. But despite growing evidence, the existence of modern-day sundown towns remains a controversial topic, as many still want to dismiss it as a thing of the past. However, the testimonies of numerous Black Americans reveal otherwise. In this video, we'll be talking about several places in the U.S. that are still considered sundown towns today, along with recent cases involving Black individuals in these areas. So give this video a like to show your support, subscribe for similarly insightful content, and let's begin this haunting journey. Number 1, Vidor, Texas.
Like pretty much everybody I know in Texas that's Black tells me, do not go to Vidor, Texas. I'm like, okay. Yet here I was in Vidor, Texas.
Vidor is one of the most notorious modern-day examples of a sundown town.
Exactly. That's right by me.
A hub for the Ku Klux Klan, the town maintained its all-white status for decades. Despite reports of efforts for change, Vidor is a town that still remains unsafe for Black people today. The town has a reputation for racial hostility, and though no laws are on the
2019, the cases have been lifted.
Books banning Black residents, unwritten rules and social pressures linger. Recently, a trucker found himself in a terrifying situation.
What's the fastest way to get relief for toenail fungus? Is it A?
To Vidor. Watch as he shares this horrible encounter.
So I get to the place, I'm not giving names of companies or anything like that, but while I'm driving to the place, I see trailer parks, I see a bunch of Confederate flags. I saw a doll of a Black man, it was just a doll, wrapped in a Confederate flag hanging from a tree by its neck. That's the type of stuff I saw in Vidor, Texas, which led me to believe that the reputation was fairly earned. I get there, the security guard says, hey, we got a code red. Guy gets on the phone, it's like, hey, I can't, I don't want to be responsible for this guy's safety. Let me go ahead and find somebody because we stopped taking loads at 4 o'clock. But I'll get somebody over here from the other side of the plant, tell them to hang on. So I hang on, I'm doing what I got to do. Finally, somebody comes by about 15 minutes later. The guy said, let me hurry up and get you unloaded. He quickly gets me unloaded. And they said, dude, you might want to get up out of here as soon as possible. Where it's sundown, you want to leave here now. Don't stop until you at least get to Beaumont. I was like, okay. He's like, no, seriously. I said, well, what about the police? Why aren't the police there? Police turn a blind eye. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do what you said. He said, yeah, man, I don't want to see you getting in any trouble.
A Confederate flag, a doll of a Black man hanging from a tree, and a security guard who cannot guarantee a Black man's safety. These are things that would be more expected during the Jim Crow era. Yet it was already 2022 when this trucker shared such an experience. You may be wondering why its citizens would still hold on to such outdated behaviors. The thing is, it's not because of lack of education, but simply because many of its citizens refuse to change. In 1993, Vidor faced significant backlash when a court ordered its public housing to be desegregated. The Ku Klux Klan held a march in protest of this decision, while local church leaders organized a counter-demonstration. Despite the community's opposition, 4 Black families moved into the housing complex. However, these families faced intense racial harassment and threats, including a bomb threat. As a result, all 9 Black residents eventually moved out. One resident, Bill Simpson, described the threats he endured, saying,
I've had people who drive by and tell me they're going home to get a rope and come back and hang me.
Given that it's now 2024, it's quite unsettling to think that 1993 was only 31 years ago. As of 2024, Vidor has a population of almost 10,000 citizens, 94.71% of which are white.
So we all knew about Vidor. We knew Vidor wasn't the place to be. Right. We knew Vidor was a place that white supremacy is king, and it was definitely a sundown town. We all knew that. We knew that.
It's probably going to take much more time before the town's rid of its terrible history and attitudes. Fortunately, there's been some progress, albeit quite little compared to the accumulated damage. During the George Floyd protests in 2020, a diverse crowd of around 150 to 200 people attended a Black Lives Matter rally in the town. Nevertheless, this town can still be considered dangerous for Black people to travel in, especially after dark. Number 2, Kerman, California.
Christmas Day,
I said, what if this was just a dream? And I walked downstairs and he's sitting on the couch.
But it wasn't a dream. That nightmare is still a reality for a mother months into the search for her missing son out of Fresno County. Corey Daniely was last seen on his birthday, August 7th, leaving a home in Kerman, and since then, radio silence.
Founded in the early 1900s, Kerman was initially a farming community that attracted diverse populations, including migrants and laborers. However, during the mid-20th century, Kerman developed a reputation as a sundown town, as white residents aimed to maintain racial homogeneity. Through the years, the town has been influenced by segregationists and racial violence. Even today, with only a 0.43% Black population, many of its townspeople still hold racist attitudes. A recent case that proves this is the disappearance of Corey Daniely, a 33-year-old musician from California who went missing on August 7, 2023, after an argument with a friend in Kerman.
On Monday, the 7th of August, earlier this year, a 33-year-old musician from California named Corey Daniely would suddenly disappear after getting into a fight with one of his friends before supposedly storming off into the night, never to be seen again.
That night, he went away and has not been seen since. The Fresno Police Department and Corey's family suspect that he may have died due to the suspicious circumstances surrounding his disappearance. The key to the investigation is Zach Stiles, the last person known to have seen Corey. Zach is Corey's friend who invited him out to Kerman. He mysteriously relocated to Hawaii shortly after the incident. Unfortunately, despite the mounting evidence suggesting foul play, including the lack of clear answers from the police, no conclusive details have come up regarding Corey's fate. This strange incident has led people to wonder if the case had been covered up. Nevertheless, Kerman obviously still appears to be unsafe for Black people to stay in. Number 3, Siskiyou County, California.
Now, as you're on your way there, you're going to pass through poor neighborhoods that have nothing but rebel flags flying high. You have a lot of one-way roads that have no street lights or cameras. At one point, I thought to myself, damn, I could easily get murdered and no one would ever know. But as we were leaving, we took the scenic route back home. I remember traveling along Route 119, stopping at a gas station. The cashier was like, you must not be from around here, huh? I was like, nah, I'm just passing through getting gas. She was like, yeah, you best not be around here after a certain time. This is a sundown town.
In 1970, only 2.1% of Siskiyou County's population was Black, while 1980 figures indicate a Black population of only 1.5%. By 2020, the county only has a 1.07% Black population. People of color tend to avoid this place because the county has long had a reputation for being racially biased, with log cabin hotels displaying signs that read, "We cater to whites only." Even today, the
a truck driver from a nearby town.
This powerful and durable repair glue is the...
So why in the hell would you want to even settle down in a town like that when you see that? It's time to keep moving. It's crazy.
Shalom, that's what I'm confused about. Why when you seen the dog, I mean, yeah, when he seen the dog hanging, or when the dude first told him,
Right.
Get out of there, you wouldn't have to explain it to me once you told me where I'm at, and I would know where I'm at anyway. But once you tell me that, then you ain't got to say nothing else. I'm out of here.
Exactly. So down the low.
Right. That's what I was about to say. Let me go right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I wouldn't even bring nothing into that town. I ain't trying to bring no food there neither, because I'm gonna research where I'm going.
Right. So now fast forward to the election. How in the hell did you vote for Trump? Come on.
And that's what in his tour was in them type of towns.
Right, exactly. But you all want some more bullshit, talking about looking at your voting rights. Come on, man. That dude ain't. Now look what he's doing. Look at all the people he's voting. Look at all the people he choosing for his cabinet. It's a Klan affair. Okay. Ain't that something?
Yeah, Mr. Leonard, me and you was talking about that when you was talking about Florida. You was telling me what's all here.
Well, yeah, I worked over there, and Louisiana is bad where I grew up at. But when I got over there, like, first of all, the guys I was with, that I was working with on the job, they was acting a certain type of way, when we was on other jobs. But now that I was at home, they was at home, I seen that demeanor had changed. And then when I got out and we was out and about working in the town, I think, oh, these boys, these straight up rednecks. And people in America, in Louisiana had shit on them straight up rednecks. I'm talking about straight up rednecks. Oh yeah. Like I said, you ain't gotta tell me it's no sundown town. Shit. I'm gonna smell it.
Right.
Yeah, the whole time they be in the back of the mind. Yeah, we're still sundown town. We don't like people of color here. So you never know.
Despite gatherings and calls for change, skepticism remains about whether Vienna can truly become a more welcoming place for Black residents. Number 7, Martinsville, Indiana. Martinsville, Indiana has long been labeled a sundown town and can still be considered.
So why would you be anywhere in Indiana? Come on, man.
Considered one today. The town became infamous in 1968 when a young Black woman named Carol Jenkins was brutally murdered by a member of the Ku Klux Klan while selling encyclopedias door to door. Jenkins's murder solidified Martinsville's reputation as a sundown town. Despite her killer being arrested 34 years later, the town's history of racial tension continues. According to the Indiana Daily Student, Confederate flags still fly all over the town.
Exactly.
That proves to be a problem for Black Indiana University students, knowing that the Confederacy fought to preserve the institution of slavery. Unfortunately, since Martinsville is located along the main road that leads to the campus, many Black students have no choice but to pass through the town on their way to and from school. In 2019, Tanisha Ford wrote about the impact that racial violence in Martinsville had on Black individuals.
That's like I said, why you come on, man, why you even still there? Why you still there? It's crazy as hell. It goes right back to today. You got set up because you thinking that the shit is everything to change. And now look what happened with the election. All they did was what they been fucking doing. They showed you they rednecks. And they put Trump right in the White House. The Negroes was delusional. Thinking the game to change. The game ain't changed. It's crazy as hell. And the same thing goes when you start applying to the scriptures, the JC. He white for a reason. Hell, come on. We ain't white on no accident. They ain't got him with no green eyes and blue eyes and red hair on accident. Shit, come on. Crazy as hell. Anybody got any comments, questions?
No, sir.
Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna go into the topic. It's the secret of the serpent. I'm gonna play the video and then we'll chop it up and we'll close it out. People that's on this line, they should already be halfway there as far as what happened in the garden. Let me get it.
One ticker, one trade every week. Hey, really?
However, this traditional understanding leaves us with several unanswered questions. Back to our channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful, mysterious, and misunderstood stories in the Bible, the serpent in the Garden of Eden. We've all heard it, a snake, a forbidden fruit, and the fall of humanity. But what if I told you that this story goes far beyond what meets the eye? What if the serpent wasn't just a snake at all, but a fallen divine being who set the stage for a cosmic battle that impacts us to this day. In this video, we'll uncover what the original Hebrew text reveals about this ancient story, explore who the serpent truly was, and journey through the Bible to see how this deception in Eden foreshadowed humanity's need for a savior. And here's the incredible part. We'll see how this same story reveals a promise of hope, a victory that was planned from the beginning and fulfilled.
Yeah, they're going to try to bring JC in there, but you got to box that out.
Through Jesus Christ. Stick with us to the end to uncover the full truth, the hidden meanings in Genesis that few people know about, and how this ancient story of deception and hope impacts your life today. Trust me, you won't want to miss what we're about to share. If you find this story fascinating, please hit that like button. It helps more people discover this message. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the hidden truths of the Bible. Don't forget to share this video with someone who needs to hear it and leave a comment below with your thoughts. Let's start a conversation about what this story truly means for us today. Now, let's dive in. Let's begin with what most of us have learned.
So it says, this right here, this like need to register with a lot of people. So he says that Adam said, a man who he formed, he separated him and put him in the garden, right? He separated him. So if you got your black ass in a sundown town, you ain't going along with the program. He separated you. He separated Adam for a reason. Man who he formed, he separated him from the rest of the people. Put him in another place. Okay?
Story of Adam, Eve, and the serpent in the Garden of Eden. This story is one of the most well-known narratives in the Bible, but it's often misunderstood or oversimplified. In Genesis chapter 3, verse 1, it says, "Now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord God had made." In Sunday school lessons, movies, and popular culture, this serpent is typically portrayed as a literal talking snake. The image of a snake whispering temptations to Eve is iconic. It's a simple story on the surface. The serpent deceives Eve. She eats the forbidden fruit, shares it with Adam, and as a result, both are cast out of the Garden of Eden. This is traditionally seen as the origin of sin and the reason for the broken state of the world. But have you ever wondered why a talking snake appears in the story in the first place?
Exactly.
Why would God create such a creature capable of deceiving his creation? And why does this serpent have the ability to speak, reason, and challenge God's command? These are questions that many people don't ask because we've been conditioned to accept the story as it's often presented. Most interpretations view the serpent as simply a snake used by Satan to carry out his plan. However, this traditional understanding leaves us with several unanswered questions. For instance, why was Eve not startled by a talking snake? In any other context, encountering a speaking animal would be a cause for concern. But Eve engages in a rational conversation with this creature, suggesting that she may have perceived it as something more than just an ordinary snake. Additionally, if we take this story literally, we are faced with the idea that a snake caused the downfall of humanity. Yet the punishment given to the serpent in Genesis chapter 3, verse 14 suggests something deeper. So the Lord God said to the serpent, "Because you have done this, cursed are you above all livestock and all wild animals. You will crawl on your belly, and you will eat dust all the days of your life." The image of the serpent being cursed to crawl on its belly has often been interpreted as an explanation for why snakes slither. But is this really what the text is saying? Or is there a symbolic meaning that we're missing? This leads us to the next question. What was the forbidden fruit? Many believe it was an apple, but the Bible doesn't specify what kind of fruit it was. The focus is not on the type of fruit, but on the act of disobedience. The serpent convinces Eve that eating the fruit will give her and Adam the knowledge of good and evil, making them like God. Genesis chapter 3, verse 5. This is a crucial detail, as it highlights the nature of the temptation. It wasn't just about eating a fruit. It was about seeking wisdom and power apart from God's guidance. The traditional interpretation paints the serpent as a villain, Eve as the deceived, and Adam as the silent participant. It's a straightforward story of temptation and disobedience, one that's easy to tell and understand. But is it really that simple? Is the serpent nothing more than a clever animal, or is there more to the story hidden in the original Hebrew text? To truly understand the story of the serpent, we need to dig deeper, much deeper, into the original Hebrew text. The word translated as serpent in our English Bibles is nakash. This term is often taken at face value to mean a literal snake. But here's where things get interesting. The Hebrew language is complex, filled with layers of meaning that are often lost in translation. In Hebrew, words often carry multiple meanings, and context plays a huge role in interpreting them. While nakash can mean serpent or snake, it also has a profound symbolic and spiritual dimension that is overlooked when the story is read purely at a surface level. Let's break this down. The word nachash comes from a root that has three primary meanings. Number one, a serpent or snake. This is the most literal interpretation. The term is used to describe a creature that slithers and hisses. This is why many translations simply call it a serpent. But this raises a question. Why would a simple snake be described as more crafty than any other wild animal in Genesis chapter 3, verse 1? This implies a higher level of intelligence and cunning than one would expect from an ordinary animal. Number two, a shining one. In ancient Hebrew, nachash can also mean the shining one. This interpretation suggests that the serpent was not a literal snake, but a radiant supernatural being. The term shining one is reminiscent of descriptions of angelic or divine figures throughout the Bible. For example, in Ezekiel chapter 28, verses 13 to 14, the fallen angel is described as being covered in precious stones, shining with glory. This aligns with the idea that the serpent was a fallen, angelic being, perhaps even Lucifer himself before his rebellion. Number three, a deceiver or enchanter. The root of nachash also means to practice divination or to enchant. In other words, it refers to someone who uses deceptive speech, who manipulates others with lies or false promises. This meaning fits perfectly with the role the serpent plays in the Garden of Eden, a deceiver who convinces Eve to question God's command and to seek knowledge outside of God's will. So what does this mean? When we look at the Hebrew text, we see that the serpent is not just a snake slithering in the grass. It's a powerful, cunning, and possibly divine being. It's as if the author of Genesis wanted us to see beyond the literal snake and recognize the spiritual deception taking place. The term nakash, as a shining one, aligns with descriptions of angelic beings in other parts of the Bible. In 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 14, the Apostle Paul writes, "And no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light." This suggests that the serpent in the garden...
Did you know that your bank account is a direct reflection of your belief?
A creature of light, using its beauty and appearance to deceive Eve. So was the serpent a mere animal, or was it something far more powerful and deceptive? The Hebrew text seems to suggest the latter. The word nachash serves as a clue, pointing us towards a being who is not only physically present in the garden, but also represents a spiritual force opposed to God. It was not simply a snake, it was a deceiver who brought spiritual death through lies and false promises. This interpretation changes everything. Instead of imagining a simple garden snake, we begin to see the serpent as a fallen divine being, a tempter who used his appearance and words to challenge God's authority and lead humanity astray. Throughout history, biblical scholars have debated the true nature of the serpent in Genesis. Many believe it wasn't a literal snake, but rather a divine supernatural being. This interpretation aligns with various passages in the Bible that provide hints about a powerful figure who existed in Eden before the fall of humanity. The key to understanding this mystery lies in connecting the description of the serpent with other biblical texts, particularly Ezekiel, chapter 28, verses 13 to 15. In Ezekiel chapter 28, the prophet describes a being who was in Eden, the garden of God. The passage states, "You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was your covering. The sardius, topaz, and diamond, beryl, onyx, and jasper, sapphire, turquoise, and emerald with gold. The workmanship of your timbrels and pipes was prepared for you on the day you were created. You were the anointed cherub who covers, I established you. You were on the holy mountain of God. You walked back and forth in the midst of fiery stones." This vivid description paints a picture of a magnificent angelic being adorned with precious stones who held a high rank among God's divine council. Many biblical scholars interpret this passage as a reference to Satan before his fall. The term anointed cherub suggests a powerful guardian angel, one who is given a special position of honor and authority. In the ancient Near Eastern context, cherubim were seen as mighty spiritual beings who guarded the throne of God. They were not the chubby, winged babies depicted in popular art, but rather fierce, awe-inspiring beings, often associated with divine power and protection. This description does not fit a mere snake slithering through the garden, but rather a shining divine figure who once walked in the presence of God. So, who was this being in Eden? The connection becomes clearer when we examine the fall of this figure. The phrase, "You walked back and forth in the midst of fiery stones," implies that this being had access to the holy places of God's dwelling. But pride and rebellion led to his downfall. Isaiah chapter 14 verses 12 to 15 further describes this being, often identified as Lucifer, whose name means morning star or light bringer. The passage reads, "How you have fallen from heaven, morning star, son of the dawn. You have been cast down to the earth, you who once laid low the nations. You said in your heart, I will ascend to the heavens. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the Mount of Assembly." Lucifer's ambition and pride led him to rebel against God, and as a result, he was cast down from his exalted position. This is the being many scholars believe was present in the Garden of Eden, masquerading as a serpent. He was not a mere snake, but a fallen angel, a once glorious cherub who had become a deceiver. In 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 14, the Apostle Paul gives us a crucial insight, and no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. This verse suggests that Satan, the deceiver, often appears as something good and beautiful, disguising his true intentions. The Hebrew word nachash, which we explored earlier, aligns with this interpretation. It refers not only to a serpent, but also to a shining or enchanting being, a description that fits Satan's deceptive nature perfectly. This interpretation helps us make sense of why Eve wasn't alarmed by the serpent. She wasn't speaking to a slithering snake. She was interacting with a radiant divine figure who seemed trustworthy and wise. The deception was not just in the words, but in the appearance, a being of light, offering wisdom that seemed divine. This brings us to a profound realization. The serpent of Genesis was far more than just an animal. It was a powerful fallen being who used its charm, beauty, and intelligence to deceive humanity, the dead, to the depths of the pit.
Okay, anybody got any comments on that? I want to add to it. Feedback.
It kind of sounds like when you watch movies and see the vampires coming at ladies.
Right.
Kind of the beguiling part.
Right. Remember what we had read, it said that in the book of Enoch that those evil spirits, once the giant dies, that evil spirit was going to torment mankind, and especially women, because they tied to the woman.
Right.
Exactly. So my point is this. This is where the trick coming in at, which is really elementary. So we know now that it's a divine being that came down. So the tree of knowledge of good and evil was an angelic being. So what's the tree of life? It's the angelic being. That's what the trick come in at when you understand that they're not dealing with the creator, because you can't deal with the creator. That's what's the purpose of these angelic beings. So She dealing with an angelic being, a wicked ass angelic being in the garden. But who the tree of life is an angelic being. That's why when you go to the scriptures, or once the light shined on it, when you go to the scriptures, you come to find out on Mount Horeb. When Moses came on Mount Horeb, it's the angel came there, not Yah, not the creator. The same angel that was in the garden. And then you come to find out we read in Exodus, the Most High said that he sent an angel before thee, an angelic being to keep thee in the way. It's an angel that's over Israel. In Daniel chapter 10, he says that Michael is your prince. You come to find out it's an angelic being that Israel dealing with, just as well as it's an angelic being that attacked Eve. It's an angelic being that's over Israel. Our Redeemer is an angelic being. They don't want you to know that. That's just the beginning of the story. When you come to find out, you get the revelation to find out that there's an angelic being that's in the garden that slept with, courage with Eve. And like I said before, they were created first, not us. So we created in their image. So whatever we have, they got it. We got it from them. So you said, what are you talking about? Well, we got a penis, they got one. We can use ours, they can use theirs. So that's what's happening in the garden. That's how you get Cain. Children of wickedness. Cain and his descendants. That's why he killed Abel. So like I was saying before, you think that sundown town just started, shit, that was a sundown town in the garden. Cain killed Abel. That's where the wickedness started from. That's why we've been constantly killed. It's certain places we can't go. Because that same wickedness is dealing with today.
That's why he said be set apart.
Right.
Get away from them, separate yourself. And that's another one people got that mixed up when it said, come out of her, my people.
Exactly.
Be set apart from them.
Right. And he gave us laws, statutes, and judgments through Moses. And then he said that we didn't keep them laws. So what did he do? He sent us and cast us out. That's what the curses tell you amongst these people. Same descendants that from the same person that killed Cain in the garden. They got descendants. And we've been cast, after we didn't keep his laws and statutes, we've been cast out over here amongst them. They've been lying to us and killing us and doing everything imaginable to us. So you got Negroes saying that the case is over with. Well, we just watched the video and you said it was over in 2019. Well, Negroes still getting killed. 2024.
Yeah, the curses ain't off of us yet.
It's over with. Come on. Ain't making no sense.
Because if the curses is off of us, it'll be on them.
Exactly. Right. He said they for a sign and a wonder. How is it 2024 when this brother he's doing everything he can to get out of the damn town before they kill him. But the case is supposed to be over with. According to Donald Trump, this nut bucket, the case is over with the bill he passed in 2019. That was all a setup. Just like what just happened, Negroes was coerced to vote for Trump in 2024. You've been brainwashed and hoodwinked. JC, you brainwashed. Rather than stepping away from that whole ideology, now he's the Yahushua. The same person. There ain't no difference in JC and Yahushua. If JC is a problem, then Yahushua a problem.
They just turned them black. That's all. They just made them black and gave them a new name.
Right, Afrocentric. That's all that is. Ain't that something?
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, that's crazy, man. It ain't making no sense. It makes no sense to me. Like I said, the brother saying that. I'm bedazzled. How is you gonna say the Nigerians, the millions and millions of Nigerians and Angola, that whole region? How in the hell is them people came from Brazil? They was put on slave ships and sent to Africa. There's way more people in Brazil. There's way more people in Nigeria and Africa and the Sahel region than over in Brazil. How in the hell they all originated in Brazil?
Yeah, that's what they were saying as far as the US too. We was already here, but they was taking ships that Dan Calloway and them was getting on ships from here and going to Africa as slaves.
Right. And then another thing what was said was that like I said, they said that we came over here through the Bering Straits or whatever, and then we was taken to Great Britain, taken to Brazil in ships. Okay, so when you read the curses, and specifically Deuteronomy 28 verse 68 said that we was gonna go into captivity in ships. They brought us over here in ships. But not only that, go back to Mansa Musa. How did Mansa Musa come? He's the Israelite. Those people are Israelites. How did they end up? How did Mansa Musa end up in power? Because his daddy had 2,000 some ships he brought over here. So ain't that scripture right there? You looking at the transatlantic slave trade, but Israelites was brought over here way back with Mansa Musa. When you go do the research, you find out when they came here, those same villages that the people in Mali, the way they set up their villages and the way they set up their societies and their communities in a circular manner, like when they came over here, they saw the same thing over here. They saw villages set up just like they was in Mali. Come on. It ain't making no sense, man. So it tied right in what he said. In Deuteronomy 28 and 68, you're gonna go into captivity in ships. It's just some the Israelites got here earlier than the other ones. But they were brought here on ships. Come on. That's just something. Anybody got anything else? You want to shine a light on something before we go?
Oh, Brother Leonard, I have one question with the project 2025 coming up, or not coming up, but with that being here, don't it seem, remember that the International Decade of African American Descent or whatever, like from 2014 2024, then you got Project 2025. I just thought that was interesting too.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's dead on it. That's what I'm saying. That our people of African descent, they used that to set up Project 2025. And like I was saying before, the people, these rednecks and these so-called right wingers, they had a problem with because of the last 10 years was that people of African descent was being implemented. They saw the shift. They saw how some of the attention was being put on people of African descent. That's what brought about Project 2025.
Right.
Yeah. Right. But and then, like I said, it's all prophecy, though. It's prophecy. We ain't going backwards.
Yeah, the only thing worse that can happen to us that didn't would be to be completely wiped out.
Right. And we know that ain't gonna happen.
Right.
Exactly. So like I was saying before, what we looking at is these nut buckets going looking for Godzilla. And when they wake him up, you already know what you're gonna get. She gonna tear everything up. That's what they doing. They thinking that it's they finna go. They finna turn back the hands of time. When all you doing is you playing right into what the Most High already prophesied. That's all you doing. You waking up a beast. That's all you doing. Okay.
So,
Anybody else? You had something?
oh, no, sir. I'm good.
Okay. You got anything, Markel?
No, I'm good. But yeah, it's just like I said, they just want to make America great again. That's the slogan. The only time it was great when they didn't have to work.
Right. But that's contrary to scripture.
Yep.
So they in for a rude awakening. That's the same thing when we was talking the other day when the Syrian king came to Jerusalem, talking about what he gonna do, but not understanding that the Lord of hosts standing right there. And he got laws and prophecies that he didn't prophesy, but you sitting there talking crazy, and you don't even understand that the God of the universe, the God of this earth is right there behind the gate in Israel. You saw what happened to him. These people in the same place. You saw what happened to the Pharaoh. Same thing finna happen. We already see Israel rising. There ain't nowhere in the scriptures where they was gonna rise and fall. He said, when you see me, when you start rising and my spirit is over you, it's it. It's hammer time. That's where we at. Okay. So with that being said, nobody else have anything else? We're gonna shut it off right here.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel. And there's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.